Welcome back to Operation Appetite for Destruction. It's now turned 14 for Japan, and it is now January of 1943. Japan has two tech dice that they're going to use. We're going to double up again on improved factories, where we're at stage 1. So we need 7 or higher with 2 dice. Let's quickly do that. It would have been good if we'd gone for 2 different techs, but nonetheless, we go to stage 2 for improved factories. Okay. All right, Japan had 63 in the bank. Actually, before we do that, let's quickly do our diplomacy. So let's go for Iran and what's left of it. Not for much longer. And we'll go for Ecuador while we can. And nothing there either. All right, so let's get into purchases. We had 63 in the bank. We're going to start construction of 2 new heavy battleships for 6 apiece. So that's 12. We're going to advance 1 stage of heavy battleship, which is currently at stage 3 to stage 2, and we're going to complete 1. So that's another 12. We're going to rapid build a fortification for 10. We're going to build a medium bomber for 10. We're going to start a heavy heavy fleet carrier for 5, the first stage of that. 2 infantry for 6, and then we've got 4 militia, 2 apiece for 8. So let's do the totals again. So that's 12. Let's put this down. 12, 24, 34, 40 with the infantry, 50 for the medium bomber, 55 for stage 1 of that fleet carrier, and then 8 more is 63. So that's the whole box and dice. All right. Sorry, I've been a bit slow on my turn. Just work and other things got in the way. It's not going to be a particularly interesting turn. There's going to be a lot of maneuvering, but not a lot of combat. All right, so let's come down to this side of the world first. I have Japan sitting at 43 as a base at the moment. So simply, we're going to have a walk on here. 1 infantry is going to step out of Cochin China, Anam Tonkin, and step into Cochin China and take that, and that's worth 1. We're going to take that off the British. So that's just a walk on. We're not going to give up those mountains that we just fought in. So that takes us to 44, British down to 30. Battle number 2 will be a raid. So we're going to bring up the fleet submarine in I-13 into P-59 and raid there. And then all we're simply going to be doing is in P-36 is putting a fighter out on map here. So 1 fighter will come out on map. And I've got a map stand. That's a combat move. So from wake, 1 fighter, then on map. Pretty straightforward. That's all of our combat movements. Let's get to rolling the dice for the raiding. Before I roll any dice, I'm going to raid here in I-12 as well. So I forgot that one. So we've got the 2. So we've got the Anzac line and essentially the FEC line. All right. Let's go over here and quickly roll the dice. Luckily, we said that before we start rolling anything and doing anything else. All right, so we've got the Japanese and the British dice. The Japanese are going to be at a +1 for the fleet sub. So the first fleet sub in where are we? P-59. So that's going to be that's the British one. So yeah, that's a 6 to a 6. That's nothing. Then we've got our coastal sub against the FEC line, and that's going to be evens. And 2 to 2 is nothing. So nothing off the Brits, and I'm sure that'll make Pete very happy. All right, let's get into some non-combat. Not as exciting, but just as important. All right, so from down here in Java, on the narrow crossing here, we've got 1 infantry, which is going to step over from Java into Sumatra. From Malaya, we have 1 transport that's going to come out of port into P50, and it's going to move 1 into P51, 2 into P52, 3 into P53, and go in port in New Britain. And go right there. Okay, then we've got one fighter on a carrier from P46 is going to fly to Wake Island. So coming off from P46, 1 into P45, 2 into P36, and then onto the island. So we'll just leave him off his stand because some of these other planes are going to move. Then we've got from the light carrier in P46, this guy's going to step back, utilising the major port here, 1 into P44, 2 into 51, 3 into Malaya, and go in port there. Then we're going to have 2 heavy cruisers in P41. So they're going to leave the sea zone in P41 and come up 1 into 32 and go in port in Nanking. So let's just get an import marker for Nanking. From P14, 1 transport that's sitting here in P14, if you can see that, is going to pick up from Hopei, 1 infantry, 1 artillery, come down 1 into, so that's the attack transport, 1 into P32, drop that into those units into Nanking, go in port. So that's 1 artillery and 1 infantry so far. From Hopei, 1 mountain infantry in Hopei. I don't know if you can see this guy. It's over here. He's going to step back into Suyon. Okay. Oops. Then we've got 2 fighters that are in Malaya. So from an airbase with a movement of 5, 1 into P50, 2 into 41, 3 into 42, 4 into Nanking. So 2 fighters will fly to Nanking. So they're there. From Shantung, this Marine will step back 1 into Nanking. Okay, the battle cruiser in P41 with a movement of 3, 1 into P42, 2 into P44, 3 into P46, the battle cruiser. It's going to join that little mini fleet. Then we've got the destroyer in I-11. He's going to step out 1, 2 and come into P40, and he'll go in port down here in Malaya. Then we've got another heavy cruiser that is sitting in P41 with a movement of 3. It's going to take the same route as the battle cruiser and end up in P46. So we've got that battle cruiser there. Okay, so our battleship with a movement of 2, 1 into P32, 2 into P15, and he's just going to be at sea in P15. Then we've got a sub in P63 that didn't participate in any raiding with a movement of 3, 1 into 64, 2 into 53, 3 into P46. Okay. All right, with our transports, we're going to have 1 attack transport from P41, come back 1 and go in port in Malaya. Another transport will come back actually and do the same thing. So 1 attack transport, 1 regular transport will be in port in Malaya. These other transports, so consisting of 3 attack transports and 2 regular transports, will go they'll go up to Kyushu, where they'll go in port with that light carrier. They're all in port together. And the battleships at sea. All right, our light cruiser with a movement of 3, 1 into 32, or sorry, 1 into P15, 2 into P16, and they'll be at sea there. Actually, I'm going to call an audible here on this submarine on P63. He's going to come 1 into 64, 2 into P65, 3 into P66. Sorry about that. I think that is just about everything. Let's get to placement of units. So let's place our militia first. So we're going to place 1 militia here in South Sakhalin. 1 militia is going to go down here in New Britain. So any shenanigans going on down there. Then we've got 2 more militia to place. 1 is going to go down in Java. Oops. And 1 is going to go in Borneo. So we're pretty economical with what we've got. 1 infantry will go down in Rihe, and 1 infantry will go onto the card in Malaya. Rapid built fortification will go on Hawaii. Or did I want to put something else? Did I want to go somewhere else for those militia? Oh, I forgot to move these planes. Apologies. All right, so 2 fighters will fly from Wake Island to Hawaii. Well, they'll probably die, but what are you going to do? You know what? We're going to change this militia here in Borneo to be in Hawaii. I'll just make it a little bit extra difficult. Then we've got the rest of our ships. So we get to place 1 ship. We're going to place that heavy battleship here in P16 with the rest of that fleet. We're going to place 2 new ones and a heavy carrier, and we'll advance 1. So we're going to place this guy, advance this guy, that heavy battleship. I'm going to add 2 more where it's just a heavy ship fest, which is the bane of Japan's existence. Anyway, last but not least, we will have a medium bomber which will go into Tokyo. All right, that should be everything. All right, let's look at income. So I have Japan at a base of 44, and then we've got Beiping, Hopei, Shantung, Nanking, so that should be 48. Midway, Wake, Solomons, 51. British Malaya, 53. What's that one there? I can't read it from here. 53. We've got Borneo, 55. Java, 57. Hawaii, 59, Luzon of Azai's at 61 for next turn. Hopefully that math is mathing. Thanks for being patient. Thanks for watching my turn. I'll turn it over now to Global War Enthusiast for his turn. Thanks for watching.